Hey everyone, it is Grant Winsauer and
Jack Rody.
back here on the Bear Claw Cast, and we're re-recording a podcast because for some reason Jack's audio and video didn't save from Saturday, so we're re-recording Saturday's podcast, but that's okay. So we're gonna go over uh, the Bears hiring most of the important positions for Ben Johnson's coaching staff, those being OC and DC and some of the supporting staff for that. And then we're going to go over the results for the Eagles versus Chiefs and the
Eagles Commanders.
Eagles Commanders. I'm sorry, I put Chiefs twice for some reason. And then the Chiefs versus Bills. But before we get into that, how was your first official week of your final semester, Jack?
Yeah, it's been good. Definitely starting to feel the weight of a little bit of the work that I got going on,
For
whether that be
sure.
school or otherwise. But getting back into the swing of things, it's definitely hard going from nothing over winter break to a lot right when you get back. But definitely adjusting. How about you, Grant?
Yeah, I mean it's a big adjustment for me because I was obviously gone for most of last semester, so I'm getting back into the groove of having classes a lot. But again, it's really nice to have essentially Monday and Fridays off. So uh, my class schedule was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so that's pretty nice. But it's getting back into the groove of things. So let's get into the important news. It took a little while, but we finally do know who the OC and DC are going to be for Ben Johnson's staff, and it is full of experienced people. Let's start with Dennis Allen because we know more about him, and he was the heavy favorite when Ben Johnson was hired as head coach for the Bears. Allen will bring a great amount of experience to Johnson's staff because Allen has been a head coach for two teams before joining the Bears. He was with the Raiders from 2012 to 2014, and then he was the Saints head coach from 2022 to 2024. And before that, he was the DC for the Saints from 2015 to 2021. And he ran some great defenses during that stretch where he was the DC. This just goes to show that some coaches are great coordinators and bad head coaches. One thing that I love about Dennis Allen coming to the Bears to be their defensive coordinator is the fact that he drafted former Bears edge rusher Khalil Mack. Maybe he could convince Mack to run it back in Chicago with one last time for 1 to 2 years. Although I will say I just read that Myles Garrett did request a trade out of Cleveland, but the thing about Myles Garrett is he has been so good recently that I feel like if we were to trade for him, it would have to be like a replica of the Khalil Mack trade when we traded for him in 2018, and I don't think Ben Johnson would want to be that aggressive with it.
No.
Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I don't want to necessarily give up that much draft capital when you finally have the star-studded head coach candidate. That's it's a risk, and I'm sure it's a risk that many teams would be willing to take. But I don't think that Ben Johnson should take that risk within 3 months of becoming a head coach. But let's get back to Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen from 2018 to 2024, Dennis Allen's defense ranked fifth best in EPA per play. Bears fans should be excited knowing that Dennis Allen will be fully in charge of the defense. It would not surprise me to see Dennis Allen bring in a lot of his own people, and he has already done that for some of the positions to round out his defensive positional staff. I'm excited to see what Dennis Allen can do with this defense because the Saints had a great defense during his time as their OC, and he runs the type of defense that the Bears have ran with their previous regimen, but we definitely hit the defensive coordinator hire out of the park. If we're being honest, most of the hires that we've seen so far have been home runs or really solid. What are your thoughts on Dennis Allen?
Yeah, I think it's clearly showing Ryan Poles taking a page out of his Kansas City playbook. Obviously, that's where we got Ryan Poles from,
Uh-huh.
and I think this is a clear case of marrying the play calling offensive guru head coach with a former failed head coach turned DC in Dennis Allen, kind of drawing parallels to Steve Spagnuolo in KC. It's definitely a formula we've seen work over the last few years, and if all goes well, hopefully Johnson and Dennis Allen are here for the next 10 to 15 years,
I
and
can agree.
no one tries to poach Dennis Allen.
I can agree, and I would say uh, with Dennis Allen basically having two failed uh, stints as a head coach, it does seem unlikely that he would get poached from
And
someone.
I think that's great for the Bears going forward.
But if the only way that it possibly happens is if in the next 3 to 4 years the Bears reach the Super Bowl, which based on this staff is possible. But we also have to see how the players play. But in Allen's introductory press conference, he stated that Johnson reached out to him about running his defense wherever Johnson ended up being named head coach. He said he was on board and spoke very, very highly about the pieces that he had on his new defense. Specifically, he was talking about how much he liked nickel cornerback Kyler Gordon, or as some people call him, Kyler Man, because that's his nickname. Uh, Bears fans shouldn't be surprised if we hear about Kyler Gordon extension at some point during this offseason. And here's a quote from Dennis Allen's press conference about the defense that he's going to run. We want to be an attacking, aggressive style of defense. We want to take the fight to the offense and not let the offense dictate the tempo to us. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to challenge everything. We're going to play the game the right way, and we're going to be tough, physical brand of football. I think the brand of football you can expect from the Chicago Bears. That's a quote from Dennis Allen's press conference. That's not my own words. Next, this was a little bit of a question mark for some people, but I don't think we should be very bothered by it because Dennis Allen, or oh my god, because Ben Johnson is going to be calling plays. But the hire that a lot of people are questioning is Declan Doyle. It was reported that Johnson was most likely choosing between Doyle or David Shaw. And while I would have gone with Shaw to bring more head coach experience, I think if you wanted to bring someone on your staff that old, you would have to offer play calling duties, and Johnson wouldn't give that up. Um, and I would have liked to see David Shaw as a pass game coordinator, but he actually got hired as the Lions pass game coordinator. But let's remember this: before Sean McVay was play caller, he was a tight ends coach. So there's a possibility that Johnson could help shape the next McVay and Doyle. We have to consider the fact that Doyle was also with Sean Payton when he was with the Saints and when he was with the Broncos. He brought Doyle with him, so he must think very highly of him. Sean Payton does get all the credit for the offensive success in New Orleans, and most likely Johnson will get the same treatment with the Bears if they are successful. But with how young Doyle is, I expect him to be around for a few years before he gets head coach looks. But I think in 2 to 3 years, he could be the next hot shot head coach. What are your thoughts on Declan Doyle?
Yeah, I thought you brought up some good points there. I think Bears fans definitely overreacted a little bit to the inexperience that Doyle has. he's been around for longer than people think, even with his age. And we also have so much experience surrounding him on the staff. And we'll go into a little bit
Yes,
of the
we
experience
will. Yeah.
surrounding him offensively later on. But like you mentioned, comes from a great coaching tree in Sean Payton, same tree that Dan Campbell came from, same tree that a lot of good offensive minds have come from. Uh, Unfortunately, there was controversy surrounding his father at the University of
Yes.
Iowa, and that's not something that Declan Doyle himself should be judged for. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, this is a guy who's been around football his whole life. From watching his interviews, it seems like he's someone who's really into film and all of that stuff. And I think it'll give Ben Johnson a great idea or a great mind to bounce ideas off of, and another innovative source for them as the Bears continue to try and make it work on offense this year.
Yeah. So again, I did, take a little bit from Doyle's press conference. Doyle said that it will be his responsibility to do everything Ben Johnson did when he was preparing for games as the Lions offensive coordinator. But again, Ben Johnson will be calling plays. Doyle's responsibility will just be all of the game planning, with Johnson having to run the whole team. So, I mean, I am not remotely nervous about this at all. I know that Johnson's offense will be successful. It's just the fact that we need to get an offensive line to make it successful.
Mhm.
The 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 Bears are retaining special teams coordinator Richard Hightower, and to be honest, there's not much to say about this. I mean, we don't think that there was any better special teams coordinator out there. I mean, maybe besides Rizzi, who is now the special teams coordinator for the Broncos. He was reported to uh, be being looked at by Johnson, but I mean, when you know Sean Payton, you just want to go with Sean Payton.
Yeah.
But here's a little bit of something from Hightower's press conference. When I sat down with Ben, it was clearly evident from the get go that this is someone I wanted to work with and someone I wanted to work for and be part of his staff. I really enjoy the players here. I really enjoyed Ben's vision. He was clear and concise from the get go and very transparent about everything that was occurring. His passion for special teams was really exciting to me, and not only for special teams, but connecting all three phases together and playing complementary football was really exciting to me. I'm excited to be back here and help these guys reach the next level. And it's important to note that when it was announced that he was being retained, it was reported that at least half the team reached out to Hightower to congratulate him, which that shows how much the the Bears players respect him and value him as a coach.
I mean, and we saw it in the way the Bears played on special teams this year. There was a lot of things that went wrong for the Bears this year. Special teams was not one of them. Torrey Taylor obviously
Yeah, that's a good
showed
one.
why he was a fourth round draft pick punter. I thought our return game, while at times wasn't the best, obviously it ended on a strong note with that cool trick punt return against the Packers.
Yeah.
And all I will say is it is not Richard Hightower's fault that Cairo Santos cannot kick a 50-plus yard field goal. And that is something that will probably be addressed this offseason. But all in all, I think Hightower is the one guy on the entire staff that I would have been okay with bringing back.
Yes,
From
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. So the Bears also hired Bill Johnson to be defensive assistant for Dennis Allen. It was first reported that he was going to be defensive line coach, but later it was revealed that he would just be a defensive assistant. But Johnson has 45 years of coaching experience, and let's just let that sink in for a moment. 45 years is longer than both of us combined has been alive. So
literally, our combined age is 44. Yeah, 42, right?
Yeah, 44.
42.
Yeah, 42.
Yeah, 42. And
So
he has been coaching for 3 years longer than the both of us put together.
And also when you look at when it was announced that he was hired, like the picture that was put on the hiring announcement, like he just looks like a mean,
and I mean
hard coach kind of guy.
Yeah, and one more thing to put it into perspective. he has been coaching for. He was coaching for 5 years when the Bears won their last Super Bowl championship, and the Bears won in 1985. That's pretty crazy.
And he was also the Rams D line coach during the years that Aaron Donald either won Defensive Player of the Year two years in a row, or MVP 2 years in a row. Was it defensive?
Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, good. I didn't think he was getting MVP, but
no, they should. Defensive players should get it. Like J.J. Watt should have gotten it in 2014. Donald probably should have gotten it the year he had 20 sacks to tackle. But I digress. We continue.
Yeah. So the next hire that the Bears made was Press Taylor as pass game coordinator. Everyone dislikes this hire because he was a failed OC, but again, everyone needs to take a little bit of a relaxing pill because there are like four guys above him before he ends up being play caller. And yes, we know that Thomas Brown went from pass game coordinator to OC to head coach, but with how successful Johnson's offense can be, it would take something really dramatic to make him the play caller. I mean, I don't have any problem with this. I mean, he's the brother of Bengals head coach Zach Taylor. I don't think that's that bad.
No, and I think the common theme we're seeing here in almost every hire besides Declan Doyle is definitely experience.
Absolutely.
That'll be something we can definitely mention with the next name we're going to bring up as well.
Absolutely. And the next name, honestly, I did not expect at all. I mean, no one, no one said that this hire was, in the works, or no one said that this was a possibility, but I really like it. So the Bears hired Eric Bieniemy to be their running backs coach. This is a great hire on multiple levels. The biggest one is the fact that a few years ago, he was being talked about in head coach circles, and I think he was actually even being talked about for our head coach.
He may have been. I know he obviously he left Kansas City and then took the OC job in Washington, which kind of
derailed it a little bit. But in his defense, I think he wanted to show that he. Now it didn't work out, but I think he wanted to try and show that he didn't need Andy Reid to get a head coach job, and obviously that didn't work out. But and we got him as a position coach. I mean, that's really cool, and I mean, we'll go into that in a little bit later. Another reason is the fact that Bieniemy has been an OC before, and he can be a big help for first-time offensive coordinator Declan Doyle. I mean,
that's two OCs, not including Ben Johnson. We have an OC, our former OC, as a pass game coordinator and a running backs coach. So if you're worried about Declan Doyle's inexperience, well, there's your experience to help back him up.
Absolutely. The final reason that this is such a great hire is the fact that Bieniemy has overseen the development of three. Actually, I put four successful running backs. The first was Adrian Peterson. The next two were Jamal Charles and Kareem Hunt, and the last one, is technically the first one, I think, but I put him last. I don't know why, but the last one I put was Maurice Jones-Drew when he was with the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really excited to see how the running back room shapes out for the Bears. I think they'll keep Swift. I think they're probably going to most likely draft someone.
Yeah, so I would be shocked if the Bears did not bring in someone. I would look at I don't think it would be Genty in the first round.
No, I don't either.
Names such as Omari Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, guys who would be
I've actually read that Ben Johnson is doing a lot of work on Caleb Johnson.
And I can definitely see that because Caleb Johnson's a very good complement to what Swift brings. Caleb Johnson's definitely more of the power runner, and that's not to say that he can't break off explosive plays. I mean, he had 2,000 all-purpose yards in college last year, but he's definitely a touchdown machine. Led all of Division One in touchdowns last year, and would be someone that I think could bring a lot of diversity to the Bears' offense.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see how the rest of this coaching staff shapes out. So there's only a few positions left that we need to fill. It's O-line coach, run game coordinator, D line coach, uh, and then I want to say there's like two others that I can't think of right now. But I mean, the most important.
Defensive backs coach?
No, because that's Al Harris.
Is it?
There's a few other coaches that we have to fill out, but the most important one that's left is O-line coach, without a doubt. I'm not saying that the rest aren't important, but when you look at how successful I almost said Denver, how successful Detroit was, the offensive line is going to be the most important position that they have to fix, and the most important position that they have to coach. So Caleb Williams can be successful, and we can keep him clean and healthy, because he took 67 sacks last year, and for reference, I think the Lions were at like mid-30s
all I know is that Caleb took and avoided the most sacks last year,
which I will say that's impressive. But
gotta clean that up for the future.
Yes, we have to clean that up. And for example, when in Denver, I think they only allowed like 24 sacks.
Yeah, they had a very good offensive line.
They had a very good offensive line, but they also had
the scheme to back it up.
Yeah, they had a lot of things helping them. So that's going to be our podcast for today. I don't think there's anything else to report on. Let me just double check here if there was a O-line coach hired, because anything's possible.
Never know.
Oh my god! Oh my
Good
god!
Call.
Okay, according to Brad Biggs, the Chicago Bears are hiring Tulane O-line coach Dan Roushar to be their offensive line coach.
Which is very funny, because we recorded this on Saturday, and Grant had this in the script, and then we decided to take it out because it hadn't been reported yet.
Yes. Nothing was reported. It was being reported that they were in contract talks and all that stuff, but nothing was like official. So I last night I was like, let's not talk about it until it's actually reported. And thank God I said let's check, because if I didn't, I would have probably gone on Twitter right after you left and been like, damn it, we took that out. And
I know.
But
everything worked out well. So there is our O-line coach hire. Obviously, you hear Tulane comes from the college ranks, but Roushar has been around the league for quite a while. Yes. Another guy with a plethora of experience. So another good coaching hire for the Bears staff, and should be looking good for the offense this year.
Yes. I mean, I think that Roushar is mostly well known for developing the Saints offensive line coach for during their Super Bowl run in the 2010s. The Bears have taken two coaches from two specific coaching trees, and technically it could be one, because he's taken guys from Dan Campbell, and Dan Campbell came from the Sean Payton tree, and most of our coaches have been from Dan Campbell's tree or Sean Payton's tree. And I mean,
not a bad spot to pick from.
No, it's a great spot. And we forgot to talk about that. And I really think that we're gonna see how good of a coach Dan Campbell actually is, because when the Bears and the Jets hired Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and they both took probably,
it was the Bears took 2 assistants. I think the Jets took 3, right?
I think 3, yes. So the Bears took Antoine Randall L., which love that, great hire. and then
JT Barrett.
JT Barrett. So Randall L will be assistant head coach, and
Barrett will be QB coach.
Barrett will be QB coach. And then Glenn took their assistant offensive line coach, Tanner Engstrand. I'm not gonna. But
Anyways,
he was
he took two important Lions staffers.
Yes, and Ben John. Oh my God. And Dan Campbell said that he was going to promote from within, but
just 1 minute, please.
It was
okay.
It was now it's impossible because the people that he would have promoted got better jobs, and I mean it was inevitable that they were going to lose. Probably some really important ones, and now Dan Campbell is basically trying to replace his best options with his friends because, for example, I can't remember his name, but their new OC was with the Lions before going to the Jets to be the offensive coordinator, and that didn't work out. But I mean, we're going to see how good the Lions truly are with their revamped coaching staff, because I would say like 65% of it is new.
And I think the winners of this offseason is definitely Minnesota, as you're looking at NFC North teams, just the continuity they've had. Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell, but we'll put the Bears close behind at number 2.
I agree. So that will be our podcast for you guys. I'm very glad that we actually decided to check Twitter really quick before we ended this, because that's the most important hire that they had left in our personal opinions. There are still a few left that are important, but this was the biggest one for sure, and it's the guy that we wanted all along. It just took a lot longer than we thought. So,
but hey, all's well that ends well.
Yep. So we will see you guys probably, next weekend to discuss, the Super Bowl matchup and hopefully the rest of the Bears hires that are hopefully made Saturday, I would say. So hope you guys have a great week and enjoy the weather. It's supposed to be like 60 today.
Yeah,
so
beautiful weather out in the Illinois area. So enjoy yourselves, everybody.
Yeah, have a good one. Bye.